Let's forget the audience. And we are not performing for your amusement. I think we left off here the other day, if I remember rightly, and the mind is totally empty of all the things that thought has put there. Then begins real meditation, if I remember rightly. But I like to, if we go further in that matter, I would like to go back a bit and find out if the mind, if the brain can ever be free, not only from all illusion, any form of deception, and whether it can have its own order, the order not introduced by thought or making an effort and endeavor to put things in a proper place. And also whether the brain, however much damaged it is, and most brains are damaged by shock, by all kinds of stimulations, whether that brain can heal itself completely. That's how I'd like to go into that. So first let's begin by asking, if I may ask, is there an order which is not man-made, which is not the result of calculated order out of disturbance, an order that is probably very satisfying, and so it is still part of the old conditioning. Is there an order which is not man-made, thought-made?
Are you referring to the mind? You say that, you can say the order of nature that exists on its own.
The order of nature is order.
Yes, not made by man.
By man. But I'm not talking of such. I don't think I'm not sure that it is that kind of order it is. Is there cosmic order?
Right, but that's still the same thing in the sense to, if you expand. The word cosmic would ordinarily mean to...
Cosmic means order.
It means order, but the whole order.
Whole order, I mean that.
And which includes the order of the universe and the order of the mind, right?
Yes. What I'm trying to find out is there order which man can never possibly conceive? You follow what I'm saying? Because if any concept is still within the pattern of thought, so is there order which is not?
Yes, well, how are we going to discuss it?
That's what I want to discuss. I think we can. What is order?
I thought just discussing it.
You were discussing what?
At the table. There is
At lunch? At lunchtime?
At lunch. There's mathematical order. And generally mathematical order is the order of certain other orders, science, or it's order behind any particular order. That's the highest kind of order known to any discipline. Or
would the mathematicians agree that there is mathematics is complete order?
yes, mathematics itself is
Would they agree to
the
that?
formation of order.
Would they agree to that?
Well, I think it depends on the mathematician, but there's a well-known mathematician called von Neumann who defined mathematics as the relationship of relationships, which really he meant by relationship order, to say that it is order working within the field of order itself and not on something else. Right?
Order working in the field of order.
Yes, rather than working on some object.
Yes, 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 that's what I'm trying to get at.
And so they try to, the most creative mathematicians are having a perception of this, which may be called pure order.
Pure order.
But of course it's limited to a certain, it does not, it's still limited because it has to be expressed mathematically,
of course.
in terms of formulae or equations.
Is order part of disorder as we know it?
Well, that's another question, what we mean by disorder, that it's not possible to give a coherent definition of disorder because disorder is inherently.
Huh?
You cannot give a coherent
Why
account.
not?
Well, because disorder is what violates order. You see, that is anything that actually happens has an order. Now, you can call a certain thing disorder if you like.
Oh, are you saying that anything that happens is order?
It has some order. Now,
Has some order.
You see, if you say the body is not functioning rightly, say a cancer is growing, now that's a certain order in the cancer cell. It's just growing in a certain way.
Consequence.
Too fast, you see.
Yeah.
Different pattern of order.
Different pattern, which tends to break down the body, but the whole thing is a certain kind of order.
Yes,
It
yes.
has not violated the laws of nature.
Yes, yes.
But relative to some context, you could say it's disorder because, say, if we're talking of the health of the body, then the cancer is called disorder.
Quite.
But in itself, it would be
It is,
wrong.
in that, cancer has its own order.
Yes,
Quite.
but it's not compatible with the order of growth of the body.
Quite. So what do we mean order? Is there such thing as order?
Well, order is a perception. We were saying that we can't get hold of order.
No, of course not.
I think generally when we say order, it is in relation to a framework or in relation to a certain field. Order is always has that connotation. And when you say order, of order, as the study of mathematics, some aspects of mathematics, you are going away from it, from the limited approach to order.
Yes, we're not ordering things anymore. You see, most mathematics starts with the order of the numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and builds on that a very elaborate hierarchy.
Yeah.
But and you can see what is meant by the order of the numbers is a series of relationships which are constant, for example. That you see that in the order of the numbers you have a simplest example of order.
And a new order was created with the discovery of zero. I mean, a new set of orders came into being. And is mathematical order and the order in nature a part of the a bigger field, or is it a localized form?
See, the brain, the mind is so contradictory.
Yes.
So bruised It can't find order.
Yes, but what does it want and what kind of order does it want? You say that it can't...
It wants an order in which it will be safe.
Yes.
It won't be bruised, it won't be shocked, it won't feel the pain of physical or psychological pain.
Well, the whole point of order is not to have contradiction. You know.
That's right.
That's the whole purpose of mathematics.
Yes. But the brain is in contradiction.
Yes. And in some way, something has gone wrong. We said it took a wrong turn once. And,
it took a wrong turn, we think, yes.
And so you could say that if the body is growing wrongly, we have a cancer cell, which is two contradictory orders. One is the growing of the cancer, and the other is the normal order of the body.
Yes.
They cannot stay side by side.
Yes.
So,
but I'm just asking, because I want to go into something which is, can the mind, the brain, be totally free of all organized order?
Yes. Now you have to ask why you want it to be free of organized order, and what you mean by organized order. You see,
then it becomes a pattern.
Yeah, so you mean by organized order a fixed order?
Yes,
a
fixed order or fixed pattern.
Imposed or
imposed
fixed.
Or self-imposed.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to investigate, at least I'm trying to find out, whether the brain can ever be free from all the impositions, pressures, wounds, bruises, all the trivialities of existence, pushing it in different directions, whether it can be completely be free of all that. If it cannot, meditation has no meaning.
Yes, well, I mean, but you could go further and say probably life has no meaning. If you cannot free it of all that.
No.
What?
I won't say life has no meaning.
If it goes on indefinitely.
Indefinitely, like that, yes. If it goes on as it has done indefinitely for millennia, life has no meaning. But to find out if it has a meaning at all, which I think there is a meaning, must the brain must be totally free of all this.
Well, that's what you call disorder, which is just. See, what is the source of this? What we call disorder? We could say it's like a cancer, almost going on inside the brain. That it's moving in a way which is not compatible with the health of the brain. Right?
Yes.
It grows. I mean, as time goes on, accretion also from one generation to another.
Yes.
And now you say...
But one generation after, it's the same pattern being repeated.
But it tends to even accumulate from one generation to another through tradition. And now we say we want to... It's almost the same question as to ask somebody, how are we going to stop these cancer cells from taking over? You see?
Yeah, that's what I want to get at.
Yeah.
How is this pattern which has been set and which generation after generation has accumulated, how is that to end, broken through? That is the real question I'm at the back of my mind.
Well, could we ask another question? Why does the brain provide the soil for this stuff to go on, to grow, you see?
That may be merely a tradition, habit.
Well, but why does it stay in that, you see?
It may be that it's so afraid of of something new taking place. Because in the old tradition, it takes refuge. It feels safe.
Yes, well, you see, that then we'll get down to the question, why does the brain deceive itself? You see, it seems that this pattern of disorder involves the fact that the brain deceives itself about this disorder. It doesn't seem to be able to see it clearly.
Also, when you say order, in my mind, there is an intelligence behind an order which makes use of it. I have a certain purpose, I create an order, and when the purpose is over, I set aside that order. So, order has an intelligence which works it out.
I'm not,
In usual parlance, that is the connotation. But you are referring to something else.
I'm asking whether this pattern of generations can be broken, and why the brain has accepted that pattern in spite of all the conflict, misery, and goes on in the same way. And is it possible to break that pattern? That's what I'm really asking.
Yes, I'm saying the same thing in a different way. If an order has served its purpose, can it be put aside because it is no longer...
But apparently it can't.
It's no longer useful or adequate.
But apparently it can't. Psychologically, we're talking, it can't. It doesn't. Take an ordinary human being like any of us, it goes on. Repeating fears, sorrow, misery, all that it's part of its daily meal. And Dr. Bohm asks, why does it go on? Why doesn't it break through? And we say, is it so heavily conditioned that it cannot see its way out of it? Or it may be merely constant repetition. So the brain has become dull.
So the momentum of repetition is there.
Yes.
And you can't get out of
that
it.
moment of repetition makes the mind sluggish, mechanical. And in that mechanical sluggishness, it says that it takes refuge and says, leave, it's all right, I can go on. That's what most human beings do.
Well, that's part of the disorder. I mean, that to think that way is a manifestation of disorder.
Of course.
Do you connect order with intelligence, or is order something that exists on its own? Any kind of intelligence?
Well, in which case, I mean, order certainly intelligence involves order, right? Intelligence requires the perception of order in an orderly way, without contradiction. Now, but I think that if we were in the terms we were discussing before, that we ourselves don't create this, we don't impose this order, but rather it's natural.
Yes.
Yeah. So, sir, let's come back. I'm the ordinary man. I see that I'm caught, that my whole way of living and my thinking and my attitudes and so on, beliefs, is the result of enormous length of time. Time is, as we went into the other day, is my whole existence. In the past, which cannot be changed, I take refuge. Right?
Yes, well, I think that if we were to talk with the ordinary man, the first thing he would feel is he doesn't really understand time. You see that, that time is something that happens to him.
Yes, but we went into that.
Yeah.
I'm saying, I'm an ordinary man, and I see, after talking over with you, I see that my whole existence is based on time. Now, which is time is the past, and in that I take the brain takes refuge.
Well, what does that mean? How does it take refuge?
Because the past cannot be changed.
Yes, we agree, but then people also think of the future. You see, it's common to think the future can change. So the communists have said, give up the past, we're going to
But
change.
I can't give up the past. I mean, we think we can give up the past.
Yeah, so that's the second point, that even those who try to give up the past, those who don't want to take refuge in the past still can't give it up.
Can't give, that's just my point.
So it seems whichever way you do it, you're stuck, right?
Yeah. So, next step is, why does the brain accept this way of living, and why doesn't it break it down? Right? Is it laziness? Is it in breaking it down, it has no hope?
Yes, well, that still is the same question.
Of course, it is the same question.
Going in from past to future.
Yeah. So what is it to do? I think this is applicable to most people, isn't it? So what is it? What is one?
Well, you see,
what is there to be done?
We haven't understood why it does this, so it's not not clear what to say. You see that. Say this behavior is disorderly, irrational, and so on, and people have said, okay, let's give up the past, but we find we can't.
We can't.
Now, so why can't we, you see that?
Why can't we give up the past? It's that. If I give up the past, I have no existence.
Well, you have to clarify that, because some people would say...
I mean, it's simple. If I give up all my remembrances, all
Yes.
my etc., I have nothing. I am nothing.
I think some people would look at it a little differently, that like the Marxists, like Marx himself said that that it is necessary to transform the conditions of human existence, and that will remove this past, you see.
But it cannot, it has not done.
Yes.
It cannot be done.
Well, that's because when he tries to transform it, he still works from the past.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Now, if you say don't depend on the past at all, then as you say, what are we going to do?
Yes, I'm nothing. Is that the reason why we cannot possibly give up the past? Because my existence, my way of thinking, my life, everything is from the past. And if you say wipe that out, what have I left?
Yes, well, I think you could say that we obviously have to keep certain things from the past, like useful knowledge and technology.
That we're going through all that.
Now you could ask, suppose we keep that part of the past and wipe out all parts of the past which are contradictory.
Which are all psychological, contradictory and so on.
Yes.
What is left? Just going to the office? There's nothing left. Is that the reason why we cannot give it up?
Well, it's still a contradiction in that, because if you say what's left, you're still asking for the past. You see
Of course.
But, I mean, are you saying simply that when people say they're giving up the past, they just simply they're not doing it, because they're really turning it into another question, which avoids the issue?
Because my whole being is the past.
Yes, well, now,
modified, changed, and so on,
Yeah.
but it has its roots in the past.
yes. Now, if you told somebody, okay, give all that up, but in the future you will have something quite different, a lot better, then you might get, people would be attracted, right?
But the better is still from the past.
Well, if you say that, but see, perhaps it could even be open and creative. You see, the people want to be assured that at least something
That is just
is going to be there.
There is nothing. We want to be assured, I want to be assured, as a common man, or as a human being, something to which I can cling to, that
Yes.
can hold on to.
or look for, or reach
Look
for.
forward, reach.
Right.
Yes,
I
reach.
mean, I feel not that they're clinging to the past, but they're reaching for something.
Yes.
That's the
There's
common feeling.
If I reach something, it is still
The past. Huh?
the past.
Yes, though that's often not obvious because people say it's a big new revolutionary situation. But it has its roots in the past.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking.
the past is disorder.
As long as I have my roots in the past, there cannot be order.
Because the past is pervaded with
Yes.
disorder. Right?
Disorder. And is my mind, my brain willing to see that there is absolutely nothing? If I give up the past, you follow, sir?
Yes, and you say there's nothing to reach for. And
Nothing. I mean, there's no
Yes.
movement.
Yes. Well,
Therefore, I cannot possibly give up the past. So, people dangle in front of me a carrot. And I'm like a silly person, I follow it. So if I have no carrots, nothing as a reward or punishment, how is this past to be dissolved? Because otherwise time is still, I'm still living in the field of time. And therefore it's still man-made. So what shall I do? Am I willing to face absolute emptiness? Right, sir?
yeah, well, what will you tell somebody who's not willing? He feels
No,
unable
I'm
to.
not bothered.
What do you mean?
I mean, if somebody says, I'm sorry, I can't do all this nonsense, say, well, carry on. But I'm willing to let my past go completely. Which means there is no effort, no reward, no punishment, no carrot, nothing. And the brain is willing to face this extraordinary state, totally new to it, of being, of existing in a state of nothingness. That is appallingly frightening.
You see, even these words will have their meaning rooted in the past, and
Of course,
that's where the fear comes in.
we have understood that.
Yes.
The word is not the thing.
But then that's the cause of the fear, because from the roots in the past, this notion of nothingness is
my
fearful.
brain says, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to face this absolute nothingness, emptiness. Because it has seen for itself all the refuges, the various places where it has taken refuge are illusions. So it has finished with all that.
I think that this leaves out something we've been discussing. You also brought up the question of the the damage or the scars to the brain.
That's just...
That the brain, if it were undamaged, possibly could do that more, fairly readily. But
Now, can I discover what has caused damage to the brain? One of the factors is strong emotions.
yes, a strong, sustained emotion. Yes.
Strong, sustained emotion, like hatred.
Yes. I mean, probably a flash of emotion doesn't do it, but people keep it up.
Yeah, of course. Hatred, anger,
Fear.
a sense of violence. Those obviously are not only a shock, they wound the brain. Right?
Or excessive excitation too, by getting excessively excited by other means such as pleasure.
Of course. Drugs and all the
Drugs,
rest of it. Excessive excitement, excessive anger, violence, hatred, all of that. The natural responses doesn't damage the brain, right?
Yeah.
Now, my brain is damaged. Suppose it's been damaged through anger.
Yes, you could even say that probably nerves get connected up in the wrong. Nerves are connected in the wrong way, and the connections are too fixed. I think there is evidence that that these things will actually change the structure.
Structure, yes. That's what I'm saying. That is, can I have an insight into the whole nature of disturbance? Anger, violence, they're all part of the same. Mm-hmm. Can I have an insight into that? And so that insight changes the cells of the brain which have been wounded.
Well, possibly it would start them healing.
Would start them, all right, start them healing.
Right.
That healing must be immediate.
Well, in some way it may take time in the sense that if wrong connections have been made, it is going to take time to redistribute the material.
Yes.
But the beginning of it seems to me, is immediate.
All right, take it that way, all right. Can I do this? I have listened to you, I have carefully read, I have thought about all this, and I see that anger, violence, hatred, all those excessive or any form of excitement and so on, does bruise the brain. And the insight into this whole business does bring about a mutation in the cells. Now, it is so. And the nerves and all their adjustments will be as rapid as possible.
Yes.
That I'm not...
The same thing happens with cancer cells. Sometimes the cancer suddenly stops growing and it goes the other way.
Other way, quite.
For some reason that's unknown, but a change must have taken place in that cell, in those cells.
All right. Would it be so, if I may ask, I may be on the wrong track, when the brain cells change, there's a fundamental change there, the cancer process stops?
Yes, fundamentally it stops and it starts to dismantle.
Dismantle, yes, that's it. So,
you're saying it sets into movement the right kind of connections.
Yes,
and stops the wrong connections.
Or even starts to dismantle the wrong connections.
Yeah.
Right?
So the beginning is made,
yeah,
and it is made now.
At one moment, yeah.
When you have insight.
That is the insight.
That is the insight.
Mm-hmm.
But it may take, there's no question of time involved because it has the right movement has started.
Yeah.
What?
What David is saying is there's no time involved because the right movement has started now.
Yes, that's of course.
But there's another thing which I want to ask about the past. For most people, past means pleasure. Very
Yes,
big field.
not only past, the pleasure,
It's a very
the
big
remembrance of all the
Yeah.
things.
And one starts disliking pleasure only when it becomes stale or it leads to difficulties.
Yes.
But one wants pleasure all the time.
Of course, of course.
Now, it's very difficult to distinguish between pleasure and the staleness or the difficulties it brings in, because one wants to keep the pleasure afresh and not have the staleness or the problems it brings. I mean, the normal human being.
No, we said no.
I'm asking you, what is your attitude to pleasure?
What do you mean by attitude?
How does one deal with this immense problem of pleasure in which most people are caught? Because that is the past. If you say...
So, pleasure is always the past.
Yes. But
There is no... Wait a minute, there is no pleasure at the moment it is happening.
No.
It comes in later when it's remembered. So that the remembrance is the past. And I said, I, as a human being, am willing to face nothingness, which means wipe out all that.
How does one wipe out this tremendous instinct for pleasure? It almost seems to be an instinct.
No, I went into it. We went into that, which is, what is the nature of pleasure? What is pleasure? It's a constant remembrance of
And
things of the thing past which have happened. Right?
Well, and also the expectation of those that will happen.
Of course. Always from the past.
They usually made this distinction of pleasure and enjoyment.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Of course, you have made a distinction,
Yeah.
but I'm saying still the human being, even though he understands what you're saying, is sort of held back in this field.
No, because Narayan, because he is not willing to face this emptiness. Pleasure is not compassion.
No.
Right? Pleasure is not love.
No.
But perhaps if there is this mutation, compassion is stronger than pleasure. I don't know if I mean.
Yes.
So pleasure has no place in the compassion.
Or even just simply order is stronger than... The perception of order may be stronger than pleasure. Even when
That's
people
right.
are really concerned about something they're
That's
doing
right.
with order,
That's right.
either the artist or the scientist, the pleasure plays no role at that moment.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to imply, because this must have a certain strength which can keep that in its...
Compassion has got tremendous strength.
Yes.
Incalculable strength. Pleasure is nowhere in it.
But what happens to a man in whom... this
Pleasure is dominant.
Yes.
We said that. As long as he is unwilling to face this extraordinary emptiness, he'll keep on with the old pattern.
Wouldn't we have to say that this man had a damaged brain too? There was a
Yes,
certain
probably.
brain damage which causes this emphasis on sustained pleasure, as well as the fear and the anger and the hate.
But the damaged brain is healed when there is insight.
Yes. But I think many people would say, I understand that hate and anger and so on are products of the damaged brain, but they would find it hard to say pleasure is the product of the damaged brain.
Oh yes, because pleasure,
See,
of course it is.
Whereas then if you say there's a true enjoyment, which is not the product of the
Yes.
damaged brain, which is confused with
Yes, sir.
pleasure.
That is the difficulty, yes.
Yeah.
Because if pleasure gives rise to anger, anger is part of the part of the damaged brain, but the
And
seeking
also the demand for
pleasure, yes.
Which may give rise to anger and hatred and
Of course,
frustration and
fear. If I can't have the pleasure I want, I'm beginning to get annoyed. I feel frustrated. All the rest of it follows. So am I, or you as a human being, see the or have an insight into the past, how very destructive it is, right? To the brain, and the brain itself sees, and has an insight into it and moves out of that.
You are saying the beginnings of order comes from inside.
Oh, obviously. Let's move from there.
May I put it in a different way? Is it possible to gather a certain amount of order in a maybe sometimes in a
artificially,
in a pattern sense, not artificially, so that it gives rise to certain amount of insight. Look at the.
You cannot, through the false, find truth.
Because I'm saying it on purpose, because for many people, the energy that is required for insight or the keenness is lacking.
You are tremendously keen to earn a livelihood, to earn money, to do something, if you want interest in something. If you are interested vitally in this transformation, etc., and so on, you have the energy. May I go on, sir? I, as a human being, I've seen this insight has wiped away really the past, and the brain is willing to live in nothingness. Right? We've come to this point several times from different directions. From there, I want to go on. May we? There isn't a thing which thought has put there. There is no movement of thought, except thought, knowledge and technique, all that has its own place. But we are talking of psychological state of mind where there is no movement of thought. Therefore, there is absolutely nothing.
So you mean by that also no feeling, then, don't you? Say the movement of thought and feeling are together. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. No, wait a minute. What do you mean by feeling there?
Well, then, see, usually people might say, okay, there's no thought, but I may have various feelings. Now, of all sorts. I don't know how you can describe them.
Of course I have feelings the moment you put a pin.
Well, these are sensations. No, but then there are also the inner feelings.
Inner feelings of what?
Well, it's hard to describe them. You see, those that can be easily described are obviously the wrong kind, such as anger and fear and...
Is compassion a feeling?
Well, probably not.
No, it's not a feeling.
Though people may say they feel compassionate. You see...
Of course.
They feel compassion, but even the very word suggests that it's a form of feeling.
Of course, I feel compassion.
And compassion has the word passion in it, which is a feeling, you see.
Yes.
And,
no.
Or can be taken in that meaning. So, you see, it's a difficult question. You could say that what are usually called feelings, anyway, those things that could be recognized as feelings of a describable character.
So let's go into that a little bit. What do we mean by feeling? Sensations?
Well, people don't usually mean that. See, the sensation is connected with, say, the body.
Body senses.
Or the inner organs of the body.
Yes. So we are saying feelings which are not of the body.
Yes, or which are said to be belong. See, in the old days they would have said they're of the soul, you see.
Soul, of course, that's an easy escape, but that means nothing.
No.
What are the feelings, inner feelings? Pleasure?
Well, insofar as you can label it that way, it's clear that it's not what, it's not valid, right?
So what is valid? The non-verbal state.
There may be a non-verbal state which includes something that seems, you might, would it have something analogous to a feeling which wasn't fixed, you see? You couldn't name, or...
You are saying it is not feeling, it is similar to feeling, but it is not fixed.
Yeah. I'm just considering
Compassion.
whether that could exist.
Huh? I don't
Not
follow.
compassion, but you see, if you say that there's no thought, so we're trying to clarify it.
Yes, there is
and
no thought.
Somebody could say, okay, I understand, I'm not thinking, I'm not calculating, I'm not figuring out what to do.
Oh, no, that's not.
Right, so we have to go further. What does it really mean?
All right, what it really means is thought is movement, thought is time, right? There is no time and thought.
Yes, well, perhaps no sense of the existence of an entity inside, for example. That might be called feeling, right?
Absolutely, of course,
Right?
of course.
Yeah, so that's what I was
The
trying to
existence
get at.
of an entity is the bundle of memories.
Yes,
past.
but that existence is not only thought, thinking about it, but also the feeling that it is there inside, right?
Inside, yeah.
You get a
Oh,
sort of
course.
feeling, right?
That is, there is no being.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you follow, you were not the mind, there is nothing. If there is a feeling of the being continuing,
Yes, even though it doesn't seem verbalizable.
of course it's, that's. I wonder if we are caught in an illusion that there is such a state.
Well, it may be. You see, that it would be a state, you say without will, you say without desire.
Of course, and all those are gone.
Yes, but now how do we know that this state is real, you say is genuine?
Now that's what I'm asking. How do I know or realize or state that it is so? In other words, you want proof of it.
Well, at least...
No, not proof.
Not proof.
Communication of that state.
Now wait a minute. How can you communicate with me? Suppose you have this peculiar compassion. How can you communicate to me, who am living in pleasure and all that? You can't.
No, but I am prepared to listen to you.
You therefore prepared to listen to how far, how deeply.
To the extent my listening takes me to.
Which means what?
That's all I could say.
No, it's very simple. You will go as long as it is safe, secure.
No, not necessarily.
The man says there is no being.
Yes.
And one's whole life has been this becoming, being, and so on. And in that state, he says there is no being at all. In other words, there is no me. Right, sir? Now, you say, show it to me.
Yes.
It can be shown only through certain qualities it has, certain actions. What are the actions
Yes.
of a mind that's totally empty of being? Huh? That's good. What are the actions? Wait a minute. Actions at what level? Actions in the physical world?
Partly.
Mostly that.
Not mostly, partly.
Now, I'm asking, is that partially? Where I have, all right, this man has got this sense of emptiness, and there is no being. So he's not acting from self-centered interest. So his actions are in the world of daily living. That's all you can judge only there. Whether he's a hypocrite, whether he says one thing, contradicts it next moment, whether he's actually living this compassion. Not I feel
But if you're not doing the same, you can't tell. You see that.
That just is, that's what I'm saying.
It's limited. I can't judge you.
You can't.
I can't judge you there.
You can't. So how can you convey to me in words that peculiar quality of the mind? You can describe, you can, go around it, but you can't give the essence of it. I mean, David, for example, he can discuss with Einstein. They're all on the same level. And he and I can discuss up to a certain point. And if he has this sense of not being empty, I can go very close to it, but I can never enter in, or come upon that mind unless I have it.
Is there any way of communicating, but not through words, for one who is open?
We said the compassion. It's not, as David put it just now, it's not, I feel compassionate. Then that's altogether wrong. See, after all, in daily life, such a mind acts without the me, without the ego. And therefore it might make a mistake, but corrects it immediately. It's not carrying the mistake.
It's not stuck.
Which must be very careful here not to find an excuse for wrong. So we come to that point, as we said the other day, what is then meditation, right? The becoming man or the being man who meditates, it has no meaning whatsoever. That's a tremendous statement.
Yes.
When there is this not becoming, not being, then what is meditation? It must be totally unconscious, right, sir?
Well,
And wait a minute, I know. Totally uninvited.
Without conscious intention is what you meant.
What?
Without conscious intention.
Yes, without conscious intention. Yes, I think this is right.
Well,
Would you say, sir, sounds silly, but the universe, cosmic, is in meditation?
Well, if it were alive, if it is alive, then you would have to look at it that way.
No, it is in a state of meditation.
Yes.
I think that's right.
Well,
I go by that.
if you say, see, we should try to go over what is meditation. You see, what is it doing?
If you say the universe is in meditation, is the expression of it an order? And what order can we discern, which would indicate cosmic meditation or universal meditation?
Sunrise and sunset is order. All the stars, the planets, the whole thing is in perfect order.
But we have to connect this with meditation. And you see now.
That's why I didn't want. He's bringing the word order.
But see, according to the dictionary, the meaning of meditation is to
reflect.
To turn something over in your mind and to pay close attention.
And also to measure.
That's a further meaning, but it's to weigh and to ponder. It means measure in the sense of weighing and pondering.
That's it.
And
ponder, think over, and so on.
To weigh the significance and so on. Now, is that what you mean?
No.
Yeah, then why do you use the word?
I'm told that in English, contemplation has a different connotation from meditation. Contemplation implies a deeper state of mind, whereas meditation is...
to contemplate.
That's what I was told.
Oh, yes, that's hard to know. The word contemplate comes from the word temple, really.
Yes, that's right.
To make an open space, really. Its basic meaning, to sort of create an open space so you can look at it.
Is that open space between God and me so you can...
No, that's the way the word arose.
Arose, quite.
From temple.
Temple, space. Which means an open space.
Yeah, temple.
The Sanskrit word dhyana doesn't have the same connotation as meditation.
Dhyana? No.
Because meditation has the overtones of measurement. And probably in an oblique way that measurement is order.
No, I don't want to bring in order. Leave the word order out. We have been through that. We've beaten that to death.
Just ask why you use the word meditation.
Let's use the word meditation.
Well, let's find out what is meant by what you really mean here.
Would you say, sir, a state of infinity, a measureless state?
Yes.
There is no division of any kind in it. See, we are giving lots of description, but it's not that.
Yes, but is there any sense of the mind of being in some way being aware of itself? You see, is that what you're trying to say? That you see, you at other times have said the mind is emptying itself of content. Right?
Yes. What are you trying to get?
Well, I'm trying to get at that it's not merely infinite, but it seems to be something more is involved.
Oh, much more. That's what I'm...
And but in this emptying of content, if we said that this content is the past, which has become disordered, then you could say in some sense it's constantly cleaning up the past. I mean, would you agree to that?
It's constantly cleaning up the past?
Yeah.
No.
Then what you see, when you say the mind is emptying itself of content,
has emptied itself.
It has emptied itself. All right, then we say when the past is cleaned up,
Yes.
then you say that is meditation.
That is meditation.
Well,
Contemplation of what?
Just the beginning. Is it the beginning?
Beginning of what?
The emptying of the past.
Huh?
The emptying of the past.
That must be done.
Yes.
Emptying which is anger, jealousy, beliefs, dogmas, attachments, all that is the content. If any part of that exists, it will inevitably lead to illusion. Right? So we said that the brain must be totally, or the mind, free of all illusion. Illusion brought by desire, by hope, by wanting security and all that.
all right. And if you say that when that is done, this opens the door to something broader, right?
Yes.
Deeper. Right?
Yes. Otherwise, life has no meaning just repeating this pattern. Now I want to go into this.
All right.
It's 5 o'clock.
What exactly did you mean when you say the universe is in meditation?
Huh?
You are trying to convey something when you say that the universe is in meditation.
Yeah, I feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meditation is a state of non-movement, movement.
All right. Yes.
Is it a
Well, could we say first of all, the universe is not governed by its past. That's
No.
the first point.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
It's free and creative. Right?
It's creative, moving.
And and then this movement is in order.
Would you, as a scientist, accept such a thing?
Yes. Well,
Huh?
well, as a matter of fact, I would.
Are we both crazy? Right.
You see, the universe creates certain forms which are relatively constant, and, so that if the people who look at it superficially only see that.
Yes,
It
sir.
seems to be then determined from the past, right?
Yes. So, put the question the other way. Is it really possible for time to end? Time being the past, time, the whole idea of time, to have no tomorrow at all. Of course, there is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You have to go to talk in the morning and I have to, so on. But there is tomorrow. But the feeling, the actual reality of having no tomorrow. Yes, sir. I think that's the healthiest way of living. Which doesn't mean I become irresponsible. That's all true child.
Well, that's merely the question of the physical time.
Yes, sir.
It's a certain part of the natural order,
Of course, that's understood.
which we still have in mind. But the question is whether we have a sense of experiencing past and future.
Yes.
I'm saying, or whether we're free of that sense.
Sir, is universe, as a scientist, I'm asking you, based on time?
I would say no, but you see, the general way it's been
That-
formulated is
that's all I
otherwise.
want. You
Yes.
say no.
Yes.
And can the brain, which has evolved in time,
Well, has it evolved in time? And then you see that's a way of talking, but it has become entangled in
time, all right.
Entangled in time in some way, but
entangled in time?
because if you say the universe is not based on time, the brain is part of the universe. It can't be based really on time, right?
No. The brain in the sense thought.
The brain, the thought has entangled the brain in time.
In time, all right. Can that entanglement be unraveled, freed, so that the universe is the mind? You follow what I'm saying? If the universe is not of time, can the brain, can the mind, which has been entangled in time, unravel itself and so be the universe? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes. Well, would you say
And that is order.
that's order? Now, would you say that is meditation? Or
That now
comes out of meditation?
Yeah. Now I would call that meditation.
Yes.
Not in the ordinary dictionary sense, ponder away
Way
and
and
all
all
that.
that,
That is state of meditation in which there is no element of the past.
You say the mind is disentangling itself from time, or also really disentangling the brain from time.
Yes, sir.
And,
Would you accept that?
well, I can see that.
Huh?
Yes.
As a theory?
Yes, as a proposal.
As a No, I don't want it as a proposal.
What do you mean by a theory?
Theory as somebody comes along and say this is real meditation.
All right. Yeah.
Right? Somebody says one can live this way and life has an extraordinary meaning in it, full of etc., compassion and so on. And every act in a world, in the physical world, can be corrected immediately and so on and so on. Would you, as a scientist, accept such a state? Or
Yes.
say this man is cuckoo?
No, I wouldn't say that. No. No, I feel it's perfectly possible, yes. No, it is quite compatible with anything that I know, right?
That's all right.
About nature, right?
So one is not a unbalanced cuckoo.
No, that's part of the entanglement, is that science itself has put time into a fundamental position, and that has
That's
helped to entangle us still further.
Yes, sir. Better stop, sir. Shall we continue some more?
When do you want to continue?
Next Sunday.
I'm going to be in America next Sunday.
Oh, when do you go to America?
Thursday.
Oh, well, they can't continue.
No, except by television.
That's very simple.
And in the autumn, in
Yes,
September.
well, September. Because putting into words is not the thing, right? That's understood. But can it be communicated to another?
Yes, well, I think that the point about communication of this is to bring it about. I mean, to.
Of course, that's what, of course. Now, can some of us get to this so that we can communicate actually, Well, so let's stop.